Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about verb forms. Verb has actually 4 forms, but we also can say 5 forms. We have mainly 4 verb forms. They are present tense, past tense, past participle, and present participle. We also have S forms. S forms. Anyway, I'll tell you about all these forms. First of all, present tense is the base form. It is the base verb or base verb. So, like this. This is also called V1. So, examples of present tense or V1 is verb, go, and carry. In the second form is past tense. That also we call V2. Like worked, went, carried. And past participle also we call it V3. So they are worked, gone, carried. And the present participle we call it V4. So, working, going, and carrying. So, we see ing forms. Here, S form. See, to the base work, we add S. It becomes works. Same way, to the go, we add ES. So, here we add yes. Here we add ES. Here we add IES. So, these are all verb forms. So, we have to learn all these verb forms to make correct sentences. So, now we know that there are 4 or we can say 5 verb forms. Usually, we use present tense or V form 1. V1 form for the simple present tense. In the simple present tense, we use V1. See, I eat an apple. Here we have to see here also again. We use S forms. She eats an apple. So, we use mainly S forms when we are making simple present tense for the third person singular. When you use he, she, and it, we add yes to the base form, to the V1, yes. See here, simple present tense, when you use I, we, you, and they, we don't change. We don't use S form, but use V1. But whereas when we use he, she, and it, these are third person singular. So when we use third person singular, we add or we use S form of the base form. That's why S forms are only for this. Only for third person singular in the present tense we use S forms. So V1 we use for other persons. First person, second person, and third person plural. So I eat, we eat, you eat, and they eat. But whereas he eats, she eats, and it eats. So you understand that. So we use S forms for the simple present tense, third person singular. So we use V1 to make a simple present tense. Simple present tense. Now we will understand about the past tense. That is V2. We use V2 in the simple past tense. We use in the simple past tense V2. Subject plus V2 plus object. So, you ate an apple. So, here we have no change in V2 for any person. Even it is first person, second person, or third person, or singular or plural, there is no change in V2 in the simple present tense. That's why we use you ate an apple. That means we use V2 in the simple present tense for all the persons and all the number, plural or singular. So here we have past participle V3. So V3 we use in the perfect tenses. In all perfect tenses we use V3. See here with have forms plus have forms plus V3 plus object. So in all the perfect tenses we use V3. Here we are giving example for only present perfect tense. He has eaten an apple. That is present perfect tense. If you use have, we are using has because it is a third person. For third person singular, we use has in the present tense, present perfect tense. Whereas for other persons or first person, second person, and also third person plural, we use have. But for third person, we use has. Third person singular, we use has. But in the past perfect tense, we use had for everything. Had for everything. She had eaten. So he had eaten. You had eaten. But the present perfect tense for the third person singular, we use has. Whereas for other persons, I, we, you, and they, we use have. But in the past perfect tense, we use had and we. So here we are giving example for the present perfect tense. He has eaten an apple. So now we have V4, that is present participle, that is ing form. V1 plus ing form, ing. That we use in the continuous tenses. So continuous tense is subject plus V forms plus V4 plus object. If it is and, is, are the present V forms. So if you use present V forms along with the V4, it is present continuous. If you are using was and were along with V4, it is a past continuous tense. So I am giving example here. They are eating an apple. That is present continuous tense. So I am eating, present continuous. She is eating an apple. This is also present continuous. They are eating, present continuous tense. I was eating or he was eating. That is past continuous tense. They were eating. So V4. So that's why we use V4 in the continuous tenses. Even in the present perfect or we can say perfect continuous tense also we use V4. If there is a continuous tense, we are using V4. So now you know how to use verb forms in the different tenses. If you don't understand this, it's very difficult to make the sentences. That's why we have to understand verb forms for everything. But here you can understand, you can observe one thing. Here, work is the base form. Here we added ed. Here we added ed to make the past tense. To make past participle also we added ed. So that's why if you are adding ed to make past tense or past participle, we call it a regular verb. We call it a regular verb. Regular verb means we can make past tense or past participle of that verb by adding just ed. Then it is called regular verb. See here you see go, went. There is no connection at all. Completely a different word it is. Go is different word. Went is a different word. That means you can't add gold, ed. So you are making a different word. That's why we call see go and gone. Okay, here go is there. but NE. So we are adding something else, or we are making a new word. If you are making like that a new word out of the verb, the past tense, we call it irregular verb. So regular means to the base, if you add ed to make past tense or past participle, we call it a regular verb. But if you are making a complete new word to make past tense or past participle, we call it irregular verb. So that's why we see go, went, gone and going. So to make V4, always we add ing. So that's what you have to understand. Almost there will be some changes. See here, I simply added going here, working here in forms only. But there are sometimes you may need to change the last words for making ing form or whatever may be, to add ing or ed or whatever may be. There are some changes. See here again, here carry. We are not using simply d or ed, but we are changing y into I to make a past tense or past participle. But even then, this is also called regular verb. Why? We are adding ed or ied. So by adding d or ed or ied, if you are making past tense and past participle, they are called regular verbs. So you have to understand this. So there is a list of words. I will give you later how to. Okay, for making regular verbs, past tense and past participle is easy, because just adding d or ed or ied, you can make a past tense and past participle. But whereas irregular verbs, you have to learn completely differently, because they are very new, very different. See, go, went and gone. Like that, buy, bought. So it's not ed. So if you are not making past tense and past without with adding ed, then you have to think that they are the irregular verbs. If you are making past tense by adding just d, ed and ied, they are regular verbs. If you are making past tense and past participle differently from the base form, they are the irregular verbs. So I hope you understood these things. So we have present tense V1, past tense V2, past participle V3, present participle V4, and we have S forms. So once you understand this, next class we will study about the tenses and how to use all these verb forms. So up to now we have learned about different forms and pronoun. So you know pronoun, person and number. Then later we have learned about different forms, have forms, do forms and also be forms. Because only if you know all these forms, then along with verb forms, it is easy to make the sentences in all the tenses. So learn well all this. Then in the next classes I will give you a list of irregular verbs. If you learn irregular verbs well, you can make sentences in any tense very easily. So I wish you all to study well all these things, learn well. Thank you.